Hello, today we are solving October 2024 paper Unit 2 question number 6 part B1. Explain the term capital reserves. So capital reserves will arise due to three reasons. One is when you are going to issue a share at a premium, or when it is going to redeem, when the company is going to redeem its own shares without issuing the new shares, or it's going to revalue the asset. Okay, all this results in the capital reserves. So what are the capital reserves? One is the revaluation reserve and the other one is capital redemption reserves. Okay, so these are going to arise whenever and even the share premium is regarded as a capital reserve. So whenever you are going to issue a share at a premium or buy back the share or revalue the asset, capital reserves are created. Okay, it should capital reserve, it can, what it can be used, it could be used for issuing a bonus share and also issue a bonus share. So that's the reason it is used, but you cannot use it to pay off the dividends. Retained earnings will be used to pay out the dividends. Examples of capital reserves are capital redemption reserves, revaluation reserves, and also the share premium. Okay, share premium is also regarded as a capital reserves. These can also only be used for the purpose of issuing a bonus shares, but you can't pay out the dividends. Then part C, evaluate the decision of Akamas PLC to use all the funds in the retained earnings reserves to pay the final dividend to the shareholders on 29 September 2024. In the earlier, in the part A question, we had prepared the changes to the statement of equity. Okay, so here on 29th September, they had used all the retained earnings to pay back the final dividend. Whenever you are trying to pay out a final dividend, certain factors have to be considered, and then you can say whether they had made a good decision or not. So first one is the dividend price. What was the dividend price that was given to the shareholders? What was the dividend yield? And the retained earnings does a company have, okay, to issue the dividend? So based on these factors, I'm going to argue whether the dividend, okay, is correct. Okay, whether the decision to issue this dividend was correct. So first one is the retained reserves was at 2.1 million. Okay, finally whatever was left out was issued. Here he says that the remaining, after all these changes, the retained earnings that was left over was 2.1 million, and this was used to pay out the dividend. There were 27 million shares, right? So after the redemption, there were only 27 million shares that was left over. So the number of shares left over at the rate of £1 is 27 million. So here we can calculate the what was the dividend per share that was given to the shareholders. So 27 million divided by 2.1, that is equal to 7.78 pence per share was given. So this payment of shares will make the shareholders happy, right? If you are getting around 7.78 pence, it is very good, because it is going to make the shareholders happy. So it is a good decision. Then also then 7, we have to calculate dividend yield now. Dividend yield with respect to the market price. The market price was around 1.2 per share. Okay, it's given here. The present market value is 1.2. So let's calculate the dividend yield. 7.78 divided by 120 times 100, that is equal to 6.5 percentage. Okay, so this pence, this is in pence, so I have converted the market price also in pence, and then you will multiply it with 100 to calculate. This is 6.5 percentage. This dividend yield is regarded by the shareholders as healthy return. Okay, so and this would also make the shareholders happy. Then what about the retained earnings? Do they have enough? Now although the retained earnings now is a negative balance, okay, the revenue reserves could also be transferred to the retained earnings to make the account have a positive balance. So they had some other reserves, okay, like general reserves and foreign exchange reserves was holding amount of 1.5 and 3.5 million. So the total adds up to 5.1 million. You can transfer back any time to the retained earnings, so it will never look negative. Okay, the retained earnings was used to pay off the dividend, so you can always transfer back. So if the retained earnings was a positive balance, then further dividends can be paid out from this reserve. Okay, this is the judgment that can uh, be given. Then the decision against is this retained earnings. Okay, retained earnings was account before the financial result. It is very small amount. It shows like 2.1 million. It is a very small amount, and also you can say that it has resulted in a loss for the year, as we had seen. Okay, it resulted in a loss, and this will not encourage any further investments to happen at this investments in the business, and there could be a fall in the market price from 1.2 pounds per share. So, and we also don't have enough information about the cash reserves, how much of cash position or the cash reserves they have. But we can see that because they have made a loss, it means that there could have been a cash negative cash position. And also they are issuing this 7.8 pence to final dividend, which can further drain out the cash. Then in conclusion, you can see that using all the funds in the retained earnings account of Akamas PLC the day before the financial year end is not a good idea, because you are using up all the retained earnings and it has resulted in a loss. If the directors really wanted to do distribute all the funds, they could have waited until the next year finance for next financial years, because as such one dividend was already issued. Okay, one of the dividends was issued at 2.1 pence, so they had to wait. It is better to wait before this final dividend that was issued on 20